Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 15. I want to introduce Jared and I are normally on this, but I want to introduce one of my favorite people. He's obviously a Ohio State fan, but Josh Merkel. So shout out to Josh. Happy to have you on. And I think this should make for some fun conversations about different opinions of teams.
I gotta
So,
cool down my Ohio State comments a little bit.
and Josh
But
can rank his up. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
Josh, this will open so many doors for you with our four viewers, which includes our parents and siblings.
And
So,
simply,
and
maybe
not
some of them, no. Yeah.
my
I'm
wife
proud to
tried to
say,
watch it the other day and was like, I'm sorry. I got a minute in and I couldn't. She's like, I want to support you, but you're going too deep. I'm like, all right, that's fine.
well, I'm proud to say I've padded those numbers a little bit, and I'll definitely
Yes.
bring it to my wife as well, and
Yes,
probably
Molly.
a couple friends. So we'll bump up the metrics there a little.
Yay. Yeah, I hope Molly can listen through all of our nonsense. Molly and I used to work together, his wife, and I just love her to pieces. Anyway, all right. Well, okay. First of all, do we want to talk anything about last week? I know last week was kind of, it feels like a long time ago. But I feel like there were some good games, but there's also some cupcakes. Like I know that a lot of the Big Ten, including the BYU, played some cupcakes. But Josh, you want to talk a little bit about the Michigan game?
Oh man, I would love to talk all day about the Michigan game. Finally getting back on the right side, getting everything all right in the world. The background was kind of really the capstone, I thought, for me. It was a dominant performance, but I'm not going to lie, the very first play where Michigan broke out, I think it was like a 35 or
Ooh,
40 yard run. I was kind of like, oh man, here we go. And then the interception that Julian Sane threw on the
oh
first
wow.
drive, I was really kind of getting nervous, and I was at a watch party, and it got really noticeably silent. But
Everyone's,
honestly, other than kind of that first big play, Michigan really didn't do much the rest of the game. You look
yeah.
at the total yardage, Bo Jackson ended up out gaining more yards than the whole Michigan team did. So it was just kind of really a dominant performance. And then you look at Brutus and the theatrics that he had with the Script Ohio in the snow, and you got the Michigan staffer out there, rubbing the
Yeah.
Oh
feet,
my gosh.
trying to get rid of it.
Uh, it's-
And then
That's
the whole
yeah.
planting of the flag, aren't they going to plant the flag? And you see Michigan standing out there at center field, like it was just great. It was chef's kiss.
they're,
Yes.
they're in their head. The fact that Michigan was guarding it, it's just like, this is almost better than planting the flag. Like the fact that you're worried and standing out
Yeah.
here longer, it's just whatever. But
That's hilarious.
It
Well,
was
is okay. Is the win sweeter at Michigan or at Ohio State?
Oh man, I think the win's always got to be sweeter at Michigan, going into enemy territory behind the lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I've listened to kind of what you guys have talked about all year, and
Yeah.
this team is really built for this part of the season, if we're
Yeah,
being
it is.
honest. Like it's
Mhm.
built for the fast track, southern weather, indoor stadium weather, it's a track team. And
Mm.
so going up north, going up in the cold, going up in the snow. I mean, I think everybody on the Michigan side was really kind of, praying for all of that, and they got it. And so that was like supposed to be the equalizer. Because
Oh
there's no
yeah.
doubt about it, the last 4 years, like Michigan has out physicaled Ohio State, and Ryan Day, for whatever reason, has, had it in his head that, he's going to try to out muscle, Michigan or whatnot. Um, so, to be able to just stick to our plan, sling the ball around. Julian Sane had a day. I think he had three touchdown passes. Um,
Impressive.
it was kind of really nice to see that out in the snow.
Yeah. I
the
bet.
thing I'll say is I still am not used to Bo Jackson not being 1980s, 90s Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
Like I'm
right.
not any right when you said that, I'm like, yeah, Bo knows, like
Yes.
from the 80s,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
so
I'm
I'm still getting used to that.
I'm assuming you guys watched the game. I don't know if you saw that one play though, where Bo Jackson runs. Like if you're looking at the TV screen, he's running to the right, and he looked like he had a defender from Michigan that was coming to make the play, like right at the line of scrimmage. And all of a sudden, he just put on a quick two-step juke and, left him in his dust. And then next thing you know, he's running down the sideline for a huge game. I mean, like that looked like the Bo Jackson. Like that was quite
If
impressive.
I blink, if I squint, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think I was watching that game kind of intermittently throughout the day. The score, I was just like, all right. Because at first you're like, okay, does Michigan have a shot? Because they're all juiced up. It's at Michigan. You never know. I do appreciate that your wife sent me pictures of Costco, and all the different jerseys and everything going on. That's a lot like a Costco at Utah when during the rivalry week. But so I just didn't know how they would show up. But I think what's interesting talking to you is like you get nervous about the same things we do, and I'm like, but you're Ohio State. Why would you get nervous? Because you're an awesome team. But like, no, it's the same stuff we get nervous about when we see in the first quarter our team be like, wait, what? Why did you drop? I mean, that's kind of Texas Tech, but it never stopped for us. Like, and so now we're all like, oh gosh, we're going into a playoff. I don't know. But it's nice that there was a recovery aspect to that. So I didn't quite catch that one, but I'll have to go back and watch it.
I
Yeah.
think I
Oh,
think
go
that
ahead.
game was at the same time as the BYU game too. So I was
Oh yeah, that's right. I was going back and
looking
forth.
at
That's right.
that and
Dual
eating
screen.
pie and stuff. So it's a busy time.
A couple things if I can touch on real quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned the picture that my wife sent. We were up in Toledo at Costco, and Toledo, obviously, if you're not
Yeah.
familiar with your Ohio Michigan geography, sits right on the border
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, like even though Toledo's in Ohio, it can get to be like a 50-50, 60-40 representation there in terms of your
Mhm.
fan base. So
Yeah.
that's interesting that you got to see that. The party that I was at was predominantly Ohio State folks. There was a father-son Michigan fan there.
Aw.
And it's so funny because, like, again, like I said, when saying through that interception, like Michigan fans are popping off and like it got really silent in the house.
But it's
Um,
like
but
rolling up sleeves just to make sure.
Something that was interesting was the Michigan peeps that were there said at halftime they're like we're not going to score another point in this game. And I really thought that was kind of interesting or telling because
Interesting.
there was plenty of time left. You go
Yeah.
back again and look at the other previous seasons and it was like Michigan really took control of the second half. So I was just kind of really surprised about that comment and kind of like what's the
Yeah.
underlying notion there. And I'm wondering like
Yeah.
if it's really something to do with Bryce Underwood. There's been a lot of chatter
Yeah.
about him as, the freshman quarterback, but the numbers and the performance really kind of haven't been there this year.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking as somebody who cheers for a team with a freshman quarterback, there's always just this unknown going up against a proven entity. I mean, it's the version of us going against Texas Tech where it's like gulp, you know what I mean? So when you see them do something good, it's like I don't know, especially in a rivalry game, you almost have to like consistently prove yourself like, okay, that's all we're gonna get, and prepare yourself for the sadness that could come, that most likely could come. So I'm wondering, yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
I
What if
think
he
like
was just, yeah, one of those fans or not?
curious for like Jared and Camille, your take here.
Yeah,
Like I feel like Bachmeyer though has really like shown some progression though throughout the
yeah, he
year.
has.
Big
Um,
Absolutely.
time.
and you
Big
look at
time.
was it Maryland's quarterback, Malik Washington? I mean, he
Mhm.
might look like to be the best true freshman quarterback so far. But I think like with both Bachmeier and Washington, you're seeing growth, you're seeing changes in both of them.
Yeah,
And again, like I don't want to sound like an OSU homer, but like I don't know that we've seen that with Bryce Underwood yet. And so it'll
that's
be
true.
interesting because I mean, there's a lot of money that was paid out there.
Well, good old NIL, right? Does it come through or not? And I think one of the interesting things about you're bringing up such an interesting point because, like for our team, we have some folks on defense. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking; it's driving me nuts. Anyway, sorry about that. Okay, so we had a couple of like stand-in people that were like, okay, we have a couple positions, but we lost our quarterback midsummer, and then we had to like come in with this new one. So if we had a team like that we knew was fully built, fully recruited, high NIL, maybe that's what they were kind of going with, where it's like we can afford for him to be not so good, but in a huge moment like a game like that, it's kind of like you need everyone to be at here for that to even be a possibility of the win. And it sounds like they had some doubts in the sense of, I mean, I have some doubts with Saturday's game right now, being like, okay, can Bear stand up? But to your point, I mean, Jerry, you can speak to this too, but like the first game he played, it looked like we were just trying to figure out, like, does he know the plays? I mean, like, you know what I mean? And because he was still getting used to it. But I was talking to a guy I work with. He actually was a BYU football player, and he was like, every game you can see, they're actually testing him on new things. So it's like, okay, we're going for the pass this game, we're going for the run this, and so like the option or whatever else. So I found that to be an interesting comment too, because as I watched more, I was like, you're right. We're trying to prove him and trying to actually expand his skill set.
Well,
So
I think like Bear in that first Texas Tech game, they they decided to run it like crazy, which you're not going to do against Texas Tech
you
for
can't.
one.
Yeah.
And they opened it up too late for Bear. So
Mm-hmm.
like he's had great running games. He's had a great passing game. That comeback with Iowa State was just like he threw for over 350 yards or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So for the BYU to win, for like Bear's got to put it. It's like we know he can run. We know he can throw. Like this Saturday, it's like they got to let him loose. And like
Like all the
if
things.
if he throws 3 interceptions, I would rather he does that and we went for it than being like, let's be conservative again and run it back into the line when it's going to be tough. Like
Mm-hmm.
we got to throw it all out there. So, and we need a complete game from him. He's going to have to run a little.
Complete
He's going to
game.
have to throw. So, but
Mm-hmm.
he's also a freshman. So
Mm-hmm.
you never know. But yeah, the growth to your original comment, the growth, you can see it like
Really, yeah, quite a bit.
night and day. Yeah, he's growing like crazy. And if they can keep him for
Yeah.
next year, like I
Yeah,
think
that's
sky's
yikes.
the limit, hopefully.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I actually wanted to ask you guys coming into this is like, obviously in this new NIL world, uh, that's obviously a huge part of team successes. Camille will tell you, I've been high on BYU all year.
Yes, you have. Even last year you were, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like I know, obviously Camille and your ties, connection to your team in your area. But I've always been, a BYU fan, but I've been on BYU this year. I just feel like they're kind of a complete team. I almost even took a bet with a friend that, BYU would make, the playoff scenes. Like, there's no way they're getting past that. Man,
I
I
would,
can see it.
They
heart to
should
you if you
be.
took
You don't
that
want.
bet.
I just went on a rant to a coworker for about 20 minutes about it today, so you don't want to get me going on the playoff thing. But
Well, I
yeah,
want real quickly, I want to circle back to something you said, Jared, because I agree with you. Like, let Bear loose, let him throw it around. Looking at Texas Tech, I think their quarterback, Morton, I don't know how efficient he is. I was looking at
hmm
his PBR
Yeah.
rating, it's a little bit lower. So I think, like, you can take chances,
And he's been hurt. He has like a
been hurt
hairline
all
fracture.
year.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which you don't want anyone hurt, but it kind of helps us out hopefully a little bit. But yeah, you look at that game and BYU could have their defense could have won the game if the offense could move it because it was half and it was 13-0 or
Yeah.
14-0
It
and it's
should have
like
been way
this
more.
is
Yeah.
doable and
Hmm.
they held them I think to 4 field goals when they got into the red zone so like
Yeah.
if they can replicate that and then they kind of pulled away at the end when the defense was tired but like if the offense can go and score I think there's a real chance there. It's
Yeah.
just, and now, Kalani's re-signed and we got more NIL money coming. And so it's like, all right, maybe in the next year or two here,
There's
we'll
a chance.
really get it going.
Yeah, so I don't know if I don't know if I got to it, but that was what I wanted to know. Like like what is BYU's on a NIL? I really don't know. Like, are they
We're still learning too. I mean,
Nobody
I'm
knows.
nobody.
Well, they're a private
Yeah.
institution, so no one knows for sure. Like the reports have been, you get the $20 million, cap, and then another 10 to 15 on top of that. That's what the reports are, just for NIL. And then they're going to take care of Kalani and they're going to take care of the assistants, which is like great. If we can get on par with at
With
least top of Big 12, if not
yeah.
competing a little for the other two. I was talking with someone the other day. Whenever realignment happens again, it'll be interesting to see if they don't just go for name brand, but they say who has money. Texas Tech has a
Yeah.
donor. BYU, oh, they got donors. Like
Ohio State.
how
Yeah.
how will
All
that
these
be
big houses.
taken into account?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have no idea, but I think it's all money driven. So you want to
because
take
like
the people who have money.
SMU is a great example. Like I always
Yeah.
hear
Mm.
how much money SMU has and how like they wanted to join what was it, the ACC, and they weren't even going to accept a penny because they're like,
Right.
"We don't need money. We got the money." And
Oh
so,
wow.
Notre Dame's another one where you hear, you
No, gosh, yeah.
trust that they got all the money. So I just kind of was wondering, like, is BYU in a similar boat where, like, they have money and it's not a problem? But I just feel like in the discussions of NIL, when you see these articles online, and like who's the highest NIL schools, like, I don't really
I
get a vibe for where they are.
Well, and I think, I mean, once we know more, we can obviously let you know. But I think one of the other things to kind of, most of these schools were doing versions of this before it was even allowed, right? But
Yeah.
BYU has got this church aspect to it. I don't know if Notre Dame's the same. I don't know. I'm not going to speak to that. But
I don't think so.
they weren't, as far as we know. And if they were, I mean, like, so this is new. This whole like, yeah, go ahead and pay everybody. We have a pretty deep alumni base, just like a lot of schools, and they're starting to emerge. I mean, the crumble guy. I mean, that was hilarious in my opinion. I just heard that actually the Penn State the signing day for James Franklin at
Yeah.
Penn State, like they all ordered crumble anyway, whatever. But
Uh,
so I'm like, it's been interesting to see just the network of the money actually emerge at BYU because I knew there was, but they were more on the like subtle end. But so that's been interesting as just a fan to be like, all right, let me start adding some numbers up here. I mean, between that and the basketball program that they heavily invested in, um, I think it's the first time we've actually been like, we can pay for stuff. Well, I think we can. So let's see how
Mhm.
far we can go. I
What
think, go ahead.
What's funny is when all this money started to come in, because BYU typically was a do more with less school.
Yeah.
Like we're
Mm-hmm.
overachieving all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when all the money came in, my first instinct was like, oh, that's too bad. Like I almost wore that do more with less like
Yeah.
badge.
With
Like
the
we
pride.
can do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And now that BYU basketball got the number one recruit and they're like killing teams, it's like, well, this is fun,
It's fun.
kinda. So,
It's fun
and
to
then
cheer for a team that does
football,
good. Yeah.
football got a five-star quarterback commit, and it's like, well, that's fun too. So I've come around to it pretty easy, but I still haven't gotten hopeful because it's been since 1984 since we won a football championship,
Like
and
mhm.
so it's
Battered
like
BYU syndrome. Yeah.
exactly. It totally is. It's just like we're gonna screw it up somehow.
Yeah.
We're gonna screw it up. So, but hey, let's change that, and let's do something. But we'll
I'm
see.
not
Maybe it
So,
starts Saturday. That's
yeah,
I'm not going to
who
be
knows?
naive and like say like, oh, Ohio State like, never paid a guy. Like I'm sure like it
Yeah.
probably, but I think what we're seeing though is I think where it was rampant like in the SEC, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
we're now
especially.
starting to see a little bit of a leveling off. And I think kind of, the last 2 years with the national championship going to Big Ten teams, I think now that things are all fair out in the open, we can all, kind of pay. I think you're starting to see kind of some of that leveling off. And then the other part that wanted to pick your guys' brain on is like, do you think it's sustainable? Because not just
Yeah, that's a good
you, but
question.
the
it.
these schools are paying what, like 20, 30 million each year? Like, is there
Mhm.
really that much
Well,
money to go around?
it, so one of the things that fascinated me, I mean, this is kind of an aside, but maybe answering your question, I was talking to somebody who worked at Auburn, and she's like, "We are paying five coaches right now." I mean,
Mhm.
like, to just, I mean, and then so it goes back to like, at what point do you run out of money, but also you made some bad decisions, and you just keep paying for your bad decisions. And so, like with James Franklin and other people, I'm just like, really? September, you're gonna let that guy? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like everybody's getting so jumpy, but I'm also like, y'all, there's one champion every year. So not all of us can do it. But that was what was worrying me about kind of, okay, everybody's re-upping their contracts right now. Either that or they're going to go somewhere else. But this coaching carousel, it's forcing more donors to have to, but I also is donors weighing in the right thing, because I think that that's what influenced like the James Franklin fire. You know what I mean? Is
Mhm.
like the lot people that paid a lot of money are like, I'm not going to do that anymore if you don't do something about it. So at what point is there like a cutoff? Because the next big person is kind of like MLB. The next big person that has a huge contract like Shohei, well, there's going to be another one, and it's going to have to be bigger than that. So we just keep climbing this ladder of like, there's got to be a cap somewhere. There's got to be something that caps it off. I
I
don't
was
know.
just talking to someone. He read an article about Colorado. He was telling me about where, Dion came in, lots of money came in, the donors came in, they're giving a lot of money, and now there's frustration among the donors because it's like you haven't done anything. So
Yeah.
that's the interesting part. Like I think, yes, the
Hmm.
money could just run out naturally, but also it
Hmm.
can run out if you're not winning.
Like
And donors
emotionally.
are like, well, what am I
Hmm.
giving to? So
Hmm.
maybe you see the rise and falls of teams faster. Like it's more like
Hmm.
a just a free fall because it's like they pull the money, and
They
now with
pull the
NIL you
donation.
can't pay the players and you're limited to the $20 million cap, or I don't
And
know.
everybody
So
jumps in the transfer portal because they can't get paid anymore. I mean, like, yeah, that'll be
it's
interesting.
it's it's crazy. It's yeah. So that's the other piece of that realignment. It's like, okay, who's had the donors for the longest? Yeah, you got your Ohio States, you got your Georgias,
Mhm.
Alabamas that are going to be there, but are Texas Tech or BYU's are the funds always going to be there? Are they going to be there? And obviously, winning helps. Where okay, you're going to get money for winning too, and how do
Bowl
you
games,
reinvest
appearances.
that? So
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and you'll
What
see
do you
some
think, Josh?
reinvest poorly. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I was worried about after winning the title last year. I'm fortunate enough to have a really good friend who's pretty connected about as close as you can to the program. And the feedback that I got was, like, well, now we kind of got our championship, right? Like those boosters or donors, they're going to kind of
They're like,
lower a little
thank you.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're good for, probably
Hmm.
3 years,
Couple more
5 years.
years, yeah.
Hmm.
Then they'll get that taste in their mouth and they'll want to, get it again and they'll go, big again. Because I think there's no secret last year that, what Ohio State ended up spending on that roster. I just think, now we're starting to just see that expense being paid for every, roster, at least all the ones that are
Yeah.
serious contenders. And you just wonder, like, gosh, is there that much money to just keep working out 30 million every year?
Well,
I
and our alumni is really going to be that, invested unless there's some sort of rev share or something that goes along with it, where there's a something that comes back to them. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
know.
good point. Most of
Mhm.
these people, they're not in it for free
They're
a
not
lot of times.
saints. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Someone
Yeah,
Yeah.
once told me this, and it's probably the best thing I've ever heard. But those rich people didn't just happen to get rich by
yes,
Hmm.
handing money out or
yeah,
giving it
exactly.
away for free.
Philanthropy.
They typically like returns on their investments.
Yeah,
Yes.
typically. So, okay, so maybe we can pivot for a second because I
Let
I
me
have
just
one. Go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, where were you going to pivot first? And then I'll
I was going to ask about the Texas A&M game and how we all felt about that. But
Okay,
anyway,
yeah, I was going to go to last week a little bit, and that was
yeah,
one of the ones I was going to talk about with
yeah,
Texas
go for it.
A&M. Well, I learned that I would looked at Texas A&M's schedule and I was like, "Oh, it's not that strong." So, and
Yeah,
Texas has a bad loss, and it was a good game. I'm glad that
couple.
rivalry's back. I'm glad it's Thanksgiving weekend, so it's nice to see that. But it kind of goes along. There's a few teams in which I'm sure I'll call up eventually in that top 12, top 10, where you're like, I don't know
Hmm.
that you have the schedule to
Hmm.
be up here
And there are some
necessarily.
teams that deserve to be up
Oh,
there.
totally.
They made it through the gauntlet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that was shocking to me. I went. I mean, it's probably no secret. I went to a Texas A&M game. They played Florida, and I remember coming home and being like, they looked great. Well, they played against Florida, so they're going to look great against Florida. So yeah, it was interesting to me, and I was kind of I was cheering for him. I have to be honest to be like, I don't know, maybe it's my anti-Texas blood, but I'm just like, ugh. And I'm just kind of over the whole like, Sarkeesian being like, we deserve it. It would be a travesty. I was like,
Oh
calm
my
down. I
goodness.
mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of teams that can say that. So, but it's entertaining. I mean, what do you think, Josh? What did you think about that game?
Yeah, I kind of always struggle with the SEC because
Yeah.
I do feel like it is the best conference, and I do feel like those teams typically do have to go through a gauntlet, but I don't think the SEC is as
Yeah. Yeah.
grandiose as
Yeah.
they will lead you to believe.
Totally
Just
agree.
kind of pulling up Texas A&M's schedule here. a win over number 20 LSU. Like, is that really impressive now, considering,
And don't even put the 20
They're
in
not
front
even
of him.
ranked anymore.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
even put the
nothing.
number in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, I know a lot of people then have poo-pooed Texas, especially,
Yep.
after losing to Ohio State, kind of what they've done after that. But like, I don't think losing to the number one team in the country should be held against you.
No,
Now,
especially preseason, you
right.
know? Yeah.
Yep. And then, just looking at who else they got there, they were at number 22 Missouri with a win and at number 8 Notre Dame. I'll give you maybe Notre Dame, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Was Missouri really that good?
Well, and even with, I mean, Jared's a Mizzou alum, but like, so he probably would be like, but he's also realistic about
I'm
that.
more realistic with them than BYU. Yeah.
But like with Notre Dame, I mean, I think this kind of opens the door to the everlasting Notre Dame conversation, which is, how do we know if they're good? Like they played Miami. I remember watching them play Miami, and I thought, well, Miami's good. And then they played, Texas A&M. Who else did they play? They had a couple games.
USC is their big
Oh,
win.
okay, their big win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hit. Um,
Pitt.
but most of those games, it's just like, okay, you ran up the score in Syracuse. Congratulations, slow clap. But at the same
Yeah.
time,
Eye test. Yeah.
it's so hard to do an eye test when they're playing teams that are are so much further beneath them. So but at the same time, do they deserve a shot? I don't know. I mean, the
No.
whole Miami Notre Dame conversation and the switch that we saw in Alabama and Notre Dame in the CFP rankings is going to be. I think that was on purpose for
Oh, it
some
was.
SEC fans in the room. But yeah, I agree with you though, Josh. What I think is interesting about the SEC, I think they'll always be dominant, but what we're finding is it's not as deep because most of those guys, the second level tiers, they're not going to sit the bench for as long as they
Right.
would have, and when they can go play at other
The
institutions.
the NIL
So
and transfer portal has
change
diminished the
that.
SEC, where Nick Saban had three deep 5 stars, at
Mm-hmm.
a position, and now you got a five and maybe a three backing up or whatever. Like it's just not as dominant, which is good. I think that's overall good for the sport.
For
You don't want
parity.
it to
Yeah.
just,
Mm-hmm.
everyone to hoard picks, but yeah, but it's also weakened it where
Yeah.
the SEC bias, the historical bias, and Notre Dame biases. Those are the three
Huge.
biases
Yeah.
I mentioned the most here, where people are like, well, they've always been good. And it's like, well, we're in a different environment now. So it doesn't mean they're good today. And that's what the college football committee, I feel like with a few teams in particular, Notre Dame has ranked, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I got
I'm actually curious from like cheering for a school that's normally at the top. How do you view parity and how it plays out? I mean, is it good for the sport? Can it be good for the sport even if it's bad for your team? Like,
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm probably going to give you the Homer answer here. Like
okay,
the parity for me, I don't like it because I like my team at the
yeah,
top.
always winning. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like I like my team always winning. I like,
Hmm.
racking up, the national championships or whatever.
Hmm.
So, when we started opening up this Wild West to paying players and everything, I was like, oh my gosh, what's this going to do?
Right,
I think it's fun as a fan. Like,
right.
if I set my Ohio State cap off for the side and I'm just a, average college football fan tuning in to watch, some random
Hmm.
3:30, 4 o'clock, game slot on,
Yeah,
ESPN Ocho, fun seeing the parity there and, oh, this team now has a realistic chance of beating, this other team. Um, but to give you a little bit of inside scoop here, inside information, Ohio State just lost out on Chris Henry Jr., the son of star athlete Chris Henry. You remember him for the wide receiver in the
wow,
NFL. He's out of Mater Dei, California, one of the powerhouse schools out
wow,
there. He had been committed to Ohio State, I think, since like 2023. And then obviously
wow.
the news about Ryan Day, or not Ryan Day, Brian Hartline drops with him,
Oh yeah.
South Florida, I think it is. And then all of a sudden, yesterday's signing day, and the letter of intent for Chris Henry Jr. doesn't get sent in. And
Oh,
why?
okay.
Oregon comes out of nowhere, and
Oh,
haven't seen
ouch.
I haven't seen this myself, but I trust
Yeah.
my source implicitly. The rumor that I'm hearing is no, Oregon opened up the bag and is paying Chris Henry Jr., who's not even a college on college campus yet. They're paying him more than Jeremiah Smith is getting paid.
Oh
Wow,
my gosh. Like
it's
where
nuts.
are we headed with all this money?
It
Like
is, it's too much. Yeah, for an
For an
18-year-old.
unproven commodity, right?
Yeah,
for
and
unproven,
that
yeah.
too.
And
Like
he's not even going to start for a while. So I mean, you're paying a guy that's sitting a bench for a couple of years, right? So I don't know, maybe not, but
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, you look at Jeremiah Smith, like he came in as a freshman.
that's true.
Think he's a freak athlete and the outlier, not the norm. But I mean, he came in day one and he started right away. So maybe, they see him as their Jeremiah Smith and maybe he'll start day one for them. But you know, it that I think to circle it all back, I think that bodes to your parity. That would have been
Hmm.
the next five-star
Hmm.
pipeline, as you said, you guys have
Right.
said in numerous podcasts, sitting on the bench, whatnot. But
Hmm.
now you got parity here with Oregon, kind of coming out of nowhere recently, and throwing that Nike money around and
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Some
One,
crazy outfit named after him, right? Or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
right.
one thing
Yeah.
on the parody, like, well, a couple thoughts. One, we're huge Dodger fans too, and
Yeah.
so Dodgers have been really good, especially these last couple of years, win back to back, and people start to turn on it. They're like, okay, like we don't want to see them win, or when the
Yeah, they're the
Chiefs
villain
were
now.
winning like
Hmm.
3 out of 4, whatever it was, 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 years. Like that first time they won, everyone's like, "Yay, good job,
Good for
Chiefs,
you.
way to go!" And now everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, not again." And I just wonder, like, if I'm a recruit being recruited to like Minnesota, Wisconsin, it's like, well, I know Ohio State and Michigan are gonna win. So do I want to go somewhere where like I really don't have a
Mm,
shot? Or do I want to go to a conference where I have a shot to maybe get to the college football playoff? And I mean, you have a shot
mm.
in the Big Ten, but like
But it
with
has
the
to go
Big Ten
through
too,
Ohio
it's
State. It
yeah,
has to
it
go
has
through
to go
you.
through there. Michigan, Oregon's now there. And I won't put USC or UCLA up there. Definitely not UCLA. But yeah,
USC just got the number one class in the land, so I'm worried.
USC,
Really?
yeah. Well,
I didn't know that.
they've done well at recruiting for years, and that's the coaching. But then you gotta put it on the field, and you gotta. I
Yeah.
mean, Lincoln Riley, when he went to USC, the hype was
Oh, I
insane,
was
and
rooting.
he brought guys over and everything, and they still couldn't close it. But
Really, since Pete Carroll, they've not been able to do much over there. It's
yeah,
sad.
He's supposed
Oh,
to be that quarterback whisperer too, which is
right.
kind of surprising
yeah.
that you haven't had more success than they've had.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
Um,
oh, go ahead. While you're
yeah,
talking, I'm gonna share this
I was
so
just
you
gonna look at last week. So the Texas Tech and one,
mhm.
Arizona beat Arizona State. That was our kind of upset
Shocking.
thing. That was good.
Hmm.
And then Washington, I was like, come on, just beat Oregon. They
No.
couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't
Vanderbilt,
do it.
Vanderbilt won, and
That was a fun one.
that was a good
Uh,
game. Yeah.
yeah.
And Auburn, I'm like, come on, boys. I will say one thing about Alabama. Well, I'll wait on Alabama because we're going to talk about them
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
week. So,
Yeah, I'm a Diego Pavia fan. If you haven't already heard that, like, so like I'm always like an underdog until you're like, because it goes back to the Dodgers. And unless you're cheering for an awesome team, the
yeah,
underdog story is awesome. You know what I mean? And so like that, I'm actually really glad you shared kind of that perspective
that's a
because I've
good
always
point.
wondered. Yeah, yeah,
That's a good point to your parody because as a Dodgers fan, I'm like, let's just rack it up. Like,
yeah.
let's
Let's
just
keep
win
it
another
going.
one.
Let's.
I don't care. I don't care if you guys
I don't care if
lose.
everybody's mad at us. Let's
Just
just
win
keep
5 in a
winning. You know?
row. Yeah.
Yeah,
Couple peons, just rack them up.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So here's this week. And so I'll keep this up here for a second and then we can chat about it. One of the things, so I always highlight the ones that are different from, so there's a spread strategy that we often talk about. It tends to be the most successful. And then there's the matchup, they have all those analytics, but on the teams page, there's that like kind of wheel predictor with percentage. So what's interesting for me, and we can talk about this in a second, but Ohio State and Indiana, that's a difference
That is an
in
interesting
choice.
one.
And then the
Yeah.
Georgia Alabama, which two teams that I'm like, those are the two top conferences with top teams. it does make sense that there would be a little bit of like, well, who knows? I don't know. But I was a little surprised to see Ohio State not be in both, if I'm being honest. So yeah, we've got Troy and James Madison. They're the top. Which, by the way, this money line I've never seen it this high for college pick'em. Holy cow! And I was like, oh, okay, and 23 spread on that. I think keep that one at a 9 for me. But and then we kind of keep really most of this is just tight between 2 points, 4 points. The Texas Tech one is a little painful to watch, but it's
I
expected.
get it. I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
So
But
refresh
yeah,
my memory because I know you guys do like usually I think you guys do like confidence ranking or
yep,
whatnot.
it's confidence ranking.
Are you doing
Mhm.
it against the spread or are you just doing it just straight up?
It's
So
straight up. It's
yeah,
straight up, but
straight up
we use the spread to help us rank kind
rank
of
them in confidence.
where the bigger the spread, likely the higher, but then we'll discuss like, does that make sense?
So
Does it not?
so
Yeah.
yeah, you see like number 9 ranked here. It's got a huge
Yeah.
money line and spread, and the spread helps us as well. Sometimes I mean, you see a bunch of them down here, 2.5 and 135. So now you've got to use another variable. And so the other variable I use is the matchup predictor strategy to be like, okay, where are they at on some of these things to help me rank them? Because I think that was the differentiation when my brothers all did this strategy and I didn't know they did the spread for so long. And I just would bang my head against the wall because I'm like, how are they beating me? Anyway, so they were all doing the spread strategy, but because so many of them were similar, they would rank them differently. And so there was variation between them based on who actually did win. Because typically I mean, Jared and I calculated this, there's normally about three, at least three upsets. So the
Mhm.
hardest part about a strategy like this is try if you go through the strategy and they just expect that you're going to get three upsets and then you can write it out knowing that the spread will probably guide you mostly correct to be a higher percentage. But let's say you're trying to make a like Jared's at the top of our league right now, and I like to think that I let him have that. But anyway, if I want to try to make up ground on Jared, I can try to correctly guess the upsets. If I do, then I make up a lot of ground based on where they put that number. So a lot of this kind of goes into the like why we talk about this because behind the scenes for a long time they all kept their mouths shut on what their strategy was and they just would keep getting these amazing numbers and I'm like what in the literal like and so I had literally spreadsheets of just trying to figure out what metric they were using when they were all husbands with kids and they were just like listen I need the easiest one because I've got 5 kids knocking on my door so
And
so anyway yeah.
obviously, you can tell this has made us wildly rich and successful beyond our dreams. So,
You would hope
you
but
know, whatever.
it's we play it for
Family
fun.
pool at the end of the season or anything like that, like a
We
pool
do have a
money, or is it
trophy.
just pride? There is a trophy. Nice.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hold on,
there's a trophy and
I'll
pride.
get it.
Jared has
Just
the
a minute.
trophy. Yeah.
While he's grabbing that, is the
I want to
matchup
make it what?
while he's grabbing that, is the matchup predictor, is that like the ESPN fan index or fan pool, or is where's the matchup predictor coming from? Nice,
It's
Jay.
on, if you click on the matchup, it's the pie chart to
Yeah,
the
it's the
left
pie chart.
usually. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's normally what is it? What did they use for that, Jared? I always forget the name of it. Is it FPI?
FPI index,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's a
Um
trophy. My wife made it from
Nice.
scratch. And it's got
and it's
everyone's
got
name, the
everyone's
champions
name.
on the back there.
Oh,
So,
And it's
engraved
like
on that. Okay,
can
sweet.
we write it on there?
Sharpie, it's Sharpie, but
Sharpie.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Engraved
we're
on
required to display
details,
it
fire
throughout the year.
details.
Yeah. And hey, man, if you ever want to play with us, we'll welcome you in. But so yeah, Jared started this a while ago because I think you were living out of state and just other variables in
Just
our
a way to
lives. It
stay
was
connected.
a
Yeah.
way to stay connected. And then 17 years later, we're playing this, and now his sister knows so much random football facts that we're like, we got to start a podcast about it. So
Sure.
anyway, so yeah, let's go
Perfect.
down. We can go down the
Great way to
list.
connect everybody.
Yeah, actually I was talking to this one this side story but this guy who was just like I wish my wife knew as much about football that we'd have somebody to talk to. I was like honestly get her to play pick'em
It
because
helps.
over time even if she's just click 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 you still do pay attention for 14 15 weeks of doing it so maybe yeah I invite Molly to play. I'm happy to play.
Get Molly
I'm
to sit
teasing.
down in the living room and sit on the couch and watch a game. That's a plus.
That's about it. Exactly. Well, that's
The
Jared's wife, Lori.
one
Yeah.
of the best days of my life. So we started Pick'em and she would play, and I went somewhere on a Saturday and I came home, and without me even asking, I walk in the door and she's watching a game, and I'm like, what? And
Whoa.
it wasn't the game I wanted to watch, but I'm like, just be cool. Like, watch the game. It doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah, let her in. Let her into the
Now, 17 years later, she doesn't even do that. Like, that's what I'm saying. It might get you in, but then eventually she's like, all right, that's enough.
yeah.
Like,
Uh,
I'm good.
some of us have nothing else to do but play this game, so that's been my thing. But anyway, so on to kind of what we're talking about. So to your point, there's throughout the years we've found that people adjust to different strategies of how they make their picks and how they place them in confidences. And so a lot of this was like, here's the most successful strategies we've seen, but then a lot of it is talking about, should this be an upset? Should it not be an upset? Or where would you place
Injuries.
that?
Yeah,
Injuries.
injuries,
Yeah.
coaching leave, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah. So, and a lot of these teams will be very honest. We don't know much about. Let's say Troy. I don't know. Don't watch those games, and probably not going to. But I do watch the scores on Saturday, and sometimes I watch the highlights of games and stuff like that. But I do tend to trust Vegas when they have a spread this big. So from my perspective, the other thing too is when you have a strategy like this, and several other people are playing that within your same group, most of them are going to put that at the same place. So you can play around with that knowledge factor of like, do I pick Troy? Yeah, no. Anyway, with this one, no, I wouldn't pick Troy. But like you can play around with those variables knowing that you know where they place them. So anyway, but any comments on Troy and James Madison, or do we just want to be like, good
I
enough,
think this is the
move
one where
on? Yeah.
it's like, hey, look at the record.
Tip
Okay,
of the
hey, look
cap.
at
Good
this.
for you.
Okay, all right. Now, one of my rules has always been if I don't know enough about them, don't put them too high, because then you can really get screwed, which has happened. But this one, given the other close ones, I might just rely on the spread on this one and
Yeah.
be good. And 11-1,
Yeah.
great. Let's anyway.
Are they a contender for the group of five? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
they're
Are
ranked
they're
25th.
okay, they're ranked. Okay.
If Tulane loses and they don't move North Texas, if North
And
Texas
and
wins,
Duke loses.
they don't jump. Oh my goodness. We'll get
Yeah,
to
that's
Duke,
not
but like,
okay.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
so they
Any
could.
thoughts on this, Josh?
Just real quick, you guys know who used to be the coach there, right?
Troy?
James
At Troy?
Madison.
No,
Or James?
James Madison, yeah.
Maybe
No.
when you
Who?
say his name,
Kurt Signetti.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
All I do is win. So I think he's built that program up pretty good.
He's probably got money in it.
Obviously he
Yeah.
took, I'm assuming he took a lot of his guys with him,
Yeah.
mm,
but they've been on a roll, and I see no
Good
reason
point,
for
Josh.
them to not stay on that roll in this
yeah,
game.
Yeah.
common opponents too. I mean, obviously James Madison's one. So yeah,
Significantly when I saw that. Okay. I'm almost like I don't know how to talk about BYU right now in Texas Tech. But why don't you start us off, Josh? I think we have some bias there. So
yeah,
I'm
there
I'm
you
curious,
go.
and
I
you
got
won't
my
offend
opinions,
us.
but
You won't offend us if you pick Texas Tech because it's probably likely what we might say too. Anyway,
So we'll give the spoiler alert or the headline right at the top. I would pick BYU in this one. I've been on
are you
BYU.
oh,
really?
Yeah,
Hey,
I've been on BYU all year, as I've said. It would not look good for me to turn back now. I
we'll
got
have
a,
you back on the show another time, Josh. Yeah.
yes.
I got a
Call us
really good
next week.
buddy who's a Texan who loves Texas Tech. We do March Madness all the time together, and he'd probably shoot me if he knew that I was picking BYU here. But again, it goes back to what I said. Like, I don't know why I've been on BYU all year long. Historically, they seem to be a very disciplined team. This year, I think they're very physical. I believe in BYU this year. I almost placed a bet that they would make the college football playoffs with a buddy, and I still
Close to.
feel pretty
Yeah.
good about that. If they can somehow find a way
Yeah.
to win this game, they're for sure in, and that just almost felt like, easy money at the time.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about this is let's say they lose in overtime. Like,
Oh, don't even get to these scenarios.
I still don't think the college committee would be like, let's let them
So
in. It's like they have to win and then they're in. That's it.
they should be ahead of Notre Dame. Like,
No,
I'm not even going to make the argument they should be above Alabama, because you look at Alabama's schedule and it's
you're
like,
like,
all right,
yeah,
like
okay.
you played some people, but they should be above Notre Dame. But if they, I lost my train of thought. They should be above Notre Dame. I'll leave it at that. And if I remember what I was
Done
going to
and so
say, yeah.
well, so like to your point though, Josh, I think what's been interesting, something that Nick Saban said in a talk, like he doesn't give talks, but anyway, on College Game Day, he said it's really hard to go and be in a high stakes scenario the same team twice. And so one of the things I remember when Texas Tech was playing BYU first, and I was like, actually, I don't mind if they lose, because if they have to play him again in the championship, I would like BYU plays better when they play from like the nobody believes in
Chip
me.
on their
We've got all
shoulder.
the
Yeah.
odds. Like they play well like that. I do think that somehow the Kalani Sitake thing comes into play at some sort of like motivational speaking of like, I got us all money, let's go out there and win, or I don't know. But to your same point, I think what the only thing that scares me is getting the offense going in the first quarter, because they've got to figure
Mhm.
that out fast. They just don't have time
And it's a 10
to
a.m.
mess
It's a
around.
10
And
a.m. Mountain game,
Eastern,
our time. So,
Eastern,
well,
Eastern.
12, it's noon Eastern. It's 10 Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's
that's right.
early, which we just saw last week. They kind of struggled, but anyway, a couple things different this time. One, it's not in Lubbock, which is great.
Yeah, that's
College
good.
Game Day is not there, which was getting the crowd hyped like crazy. Um, LJ Martin was basically injured that
Yeah,
game. We're getting back our number two running back,
yeah,
Sione
that's right.
Moa, this game, which was our 1-2
Huge.
punch. Was like when we lost that, it's the run game suffered a bit. We're getting back a guy who redshirted on the defensive line, defensive tackle, who's redshirted. He's post game games don't count against redshirt, and he's a
Really?
disruptor. And he's a good pass rusher. We didn't really have, well, we got some sacks, but
I didn't know.
so we kind of, and it's neutral site in Texas, but so there's things
There's enough
there that I'm
inertia.
like, okay. And I think they learned a lot from that first one, knowing, okay,
Yeah,
we can't run it. Let's look at what Arizona State
you
did
have to go in the air.
against Texas Tech, where they
Hmm.
kind of just got the ball out of the quarterback. And Sam Levitt's awesome at Arizona State, and like he had an amazing game. But that's what they need there to do, is like, we don't need to hit a home run every time. We just need to get the ball out of your hands,
Incrementally
you
go
know,
down the
get
field.
get some
Hmm.
5, 10 yard passes, get you going, open up the run game maybe. Whereas the last game, they're like, we're gonna establish the run game. It's like, you're not gonna establish the run game
Not against
against
these
them.
guys. They're too good
You
against the
need to
rush
work off the
or rush.
pass game to get the run game open, I think, this time. So that loss, like you said, I think was a
It spurs
blessing in
them on.
disguise. Like, okay, what do we need to work on? What do we need to do? We have film. Let's go for it. Now, to be fair, Texas Tech is going to make adjustments as well,
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. So
And they're
we'll
coming in with
see.
a little bit of confidence, let's be honest on this one. So in some respects, it's that a little bit of rat poison there. If they're sipping that juice, that it can be bad. But I think either way, it will be close. It will be closer than it was. It was a blowout last time, but it'll be
Mhm.
close. So
And Texas
but I
Tech is, they're not going to, unless they get completely demolished, which they won't. They're not dropping out of the
no,
playoff if they
they're
lose.
not.
Like they'll lose the first round bye, and BYU gets in, and then Notre Dame gets bumped out, hopefully. Um,
We'll see.
Wait, I
yeah,
want to I want to make sure I heard that right. So you still got Texas Tech in even if they lose, right?
Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
because they're four right now.
Unless they get blown out. Like
Yeah.
Unless,
I
but even if they get blown out, it's like they're at number four. That would be such a far drop, and I think would confirm the bias against
which there is one, and we all
whatever.
know it.
Because like
Yeah.
you can look at other teams in there who have, Alabama has a bad loss, and like other teams have bad loss. This wouldn't be a bad loss if Texas Tech won
And they're
or
trying not
lost.
to
Sorry,
punish people playing the championships games
that's what they
either.
say.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
what
they
they
say.
say. But
But we'll see.
yeah.
We'll
Anyway,
see. I don't know. I think there's a lot of congestion right around the 10 mark for the CFP. So
I
I think there's going to
really
be a lot of people rooting against BYU for their fan
right.
base.
Yeah, Notre
Um,
Dame should be cheering against BYU because they're ahead of
so
them
should
right now.
Alabama. So should all
So
the
should
rest of them.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you don't
Yeah.
want BYU to win.
Mhm.
Yeah.
From what
Yeah.
I think, you kind of need like chaos would be BYU and Duke winning, I
Oh
believe.
man,
Oh
wouldn't
my
that be
gosh.
awesome?
That, and Alabama losing or something like that. Well, they probably will. But anyway, yeah.
Man, yeah, if that happened, I
Oh my
mean, Notre
gosh.
Dame, Alabama, well, Alabama could win maybe. But if Alabama were to lose and Duke and BYU win, like it would be that would
Like
be so
two
fun to
groups of
just
five.
watch the college football playoff committee just be like, we don't like
Now we have to,
that.
yeah, exactly. I would love to be in that room.
All
All
right.
right, let's talk for a
Lot on
minute about,
BYU. Sorry.
yeah, sorry. UNLV and Boise State. So I don't know on this one,
UNLV
to be
is 10
honest.
and 2.
Oh, good for
I
them.
don't think Boise's not the Boise of last year,
No, they're
for
not.
sure.
Well, they're missing their
Um,
main guy.
I'm trying to let me look at their schedule here real quick. I mean, obviously they're playing a group of five schedule here.
Hmm.
Let's
So
see.
I wonder if people look at Boise State from like the Boise State that we know, like
Yeah,
growing
the
up.
bias. Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
so.
The
Hmm.
Statue of Liberty and
Yep.
all
Hmm.
the crazy
The blue
play.
field. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And what wasn't it back in the day they had that win over, was it Alabama? And so like do people still think like that's still the same Boise State? Because I don't know that it is
It's
anymore.
not. It's
I
not the
think,
same Boise State.
and it's not consistent. It's not the 2007 when they beat Oklahoma. That was the first time people were like, "Whoa, Boise State!" Like that
Yeah.
was the Statue of Liberty hook and ladder. I think they now have their ebbs and flows. Like
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're
Depends on
down.
the year.
They're not bad. Like I feel like this is their down year. It's still a decent year for a group of five team. And then last year they got some good transfers, they got some good players, and they made kind of a run. Um, so I think
But I,
that's the new Boise State trend is like we're not consistently like there, but we'll get there. We
well,
coach our players up.
they lost Gentry, and so I'm sure a lot of the players are like, we lose him, and we kind of lose the team a little bit. So do they enter the
The
transfer
motor.
portal? And are
Yeah.
they picked off? Because a lot of group of five teams are picked off by
Hmm.
the bigger Power Four conferences, knowing that they did well. So I think to your point, the name bias on this one I think is playing into it because UNLV's schedule is quite a bit better, and then Boise State is getting the favor.
UNLV beat UCLA.
Hey,
Everyone beat UCLA.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
So
I think
except Penn
another
State.
wild stat too about this game. Did you know that this is the third consecutive matchup in the Mountain West championship
really.
between
Really
Oh,
Boise State?
interesting.
huh.
Has Boise State won every year?
Boise State's won the previous
Oh.
two.
So actually, I think this could be an upset alert then,
I
because
I'm ready
yeah,
to go with UNLV on
Yeah,
I
this
think
one.
so.
I
Yeah.
kind of feel UNLV too. Like
Yeah,
all the reasons that we just said.
yeah,
Now you got, like, hey, can we get over the hump? Kind of that revenge factor. Like, I'd look out for this one.
Yeah.
yeah, I would too.
Agreed.
Put it low.
Put it a little lower. Yeah. Pick UNLV. Get a little lower there. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I agree with you.
All right, let's get to our friend
Oh
Josh's
yeah.
home team. This is going to be an interesting one for me. Oh, Indiana, Ohio State. We'll let you talk
Yeah.
first.
You go.
Get, yeah, you go.
So I kind of alluded a little bit to this already. Like, if you would have asked me this question coming out of the Michigan game, I would have been riding on cloud nine, would have been, like, yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna steamroll. This is feeling great.
yeah,
Um, but as I kind of alluded to earlier, like this week has really just kind of been a complete cluster mess.
yeah.
You have the news of Brian Hartline, departing the program. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you have the coaches on the recruiting lines trying to get, Chris Henry Jr., Legend Bay, Gilfried, trying to keep them all in the class. These are wide receiver recruits that Brian Hartline was, had
Oh
signed up
wow.
and was going after. And so it's like, how much time is Ryan Day and the coaches like really,
The
putting towards preparing
distraction.
for Indiana?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, say what you will too about Kurt Signetti. I do think he is the real deal.
I agree.
I
I
know
agree.
everyone likes to,
Bash
poke it
him.
his
Yeah.
line. All I do is win, but like all the guy does is win.
He's win. It's not even just a saying; it's a reality. Yeah.
So, and my friends know me well enough. They'll always say like, I'm the glass half empty kind of guy more so than glass half full. So I
Mhm.
tend to be a little bit harsher, on my team than usual. But I'm still gonna pick Ohio State. I still
Yeah.
think, Ohio State has all the talent. Jared, I've been listening to you guys, throughout the year. Um, I do know that, there's this prevailing thought of, is there any real one dominant team? And I do kind of agree with that to a degree. Like, you don't have your Alabamas of usual, you don't have your Georgias as usual. Yes, they're still high up there, but I don't feel that they're like, the powerhouses that they have been.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do feel like this Ohio State team is different this year. I do feel like, going into the year, I was just like, hey, if Julian Sang can just be decent and get us, like two losses, like we'll be okay. And like look at what he's done. He's got the team undefeated. He looks
Yeah.
like one of the best quarterbacks in the country, slinging it around. The wide receivers are just supremely talented with Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and then Brandon Inniss gets, kind of no love, but he does all the dirty work. They have the transfer tight end from Purdue, who's one of the top tight ends in the country, and Max Clare.
Oh,
The
poor
offensive
Purdue.
poor
You took him from Purdue. Like,
the offensive line has looked strong all year and really is kind of, knock on wood, been injury free. And the defense is absolutely humming. Arvell Reese came out of nowhere and, has gone from like, okay, this is now a first round pick. Oh, this is a top 15 pick. Oh, this is a top five pick. Is this guy really going to be a top three pick? I mean, Arvell Reese is incredible. And then you have my favorite player in the country, Caleb Downs. If you watch him, this dude is special. He can play almost every single position on the defense. He'll drop into coverage and lock you down, or he'll run up to the line of scrimmage and stick you at the line. I mean, the guy. I'm telling my Cleveland friends they all want to draft a quarterback because Cleveland desperately
Oh,
needs a
nice.
quarterback. But in my opinion, Caleb Downs is, the for sure lock. He'll be a 10-year All-Pro in the NFL. The guy is just special. We've been so blessed to watch him for the past 2 years in Columbus. All of those reasons, the team is just supremely talented. If they lose this week, it's not because, Indiana's, the more talented, better team. I really believe it's because of all the distractions that are going around.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
um,
go ahead,
okay.
Jared.
There you go.
No, I don't disagree. I think it's easy to pick on again. And you guys are the villain because you were the winner last year, right? So it's kind of like our Dodgers, who are just going to always be picked on because we won, and nobody wants to see them win twice. But to the same point, I mean, I remember talking to you initially when I was like, oh, maybe I'll come out, and you're like, I hope we're good. And I remember like, are you hope you're good? It's Ohio State, like you'll be fine. So and like I remember you being like, I hope we just beat Penn State. And I was like, well, solidly, by the way. Good
Yeah.
job. Anyway, so I think that's what's been interesting about talking to you throughout the year is like watching you gain faith in your own team. You know what I mean? And I think as you noticed with Jared and I, we're still a little battered from all the years of like, it would be nice. I mean, I can talk about the Dodgers confidently all day long, but I can't talk about BYU yet. We haven't done it for a while. So I think what's interesting and what would be nice about and the Ohio State stance is really knowing how deep your team is on both sides of the ball. So super complete. One thing that I feel like Indiana, they've had a little bit of test on there, and there's a couple games where I was like, impressive. Wow, impressive. I do think this is going to be I think their defense is probably stronger than their offense from what I've been able to see. So this will be an interesting one to see how complete they can be. Um, but yeah, anyway,
What was I gonna say? This is where my historical bias comes in because I'm just like, oh, Indiana, Ohio State. Of course
like
it's
of
Ohio
course,
State,
yeah, come
you
on.
know.
Yeah,
But what we were talking
yeah.
about with the NIL and the transfer portal is kind of like, whoa, 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 nope. Get that thought out of your head because it's not like that anymore. But I'm just looking at both Ohio State's and Indiana's schedules here. Indiana's toughest game was Oregon. Other than that, like most the other teams they played, like their preseason was just a joke, to be honest. Like they played their first three games were nothing. But
I mean,
so I'm kind of
so
like,
are ours, by the way. Yeah.
how well do I know Indiana? Like they haven't
It's
really
hard to
been
know them.
tested.
Yeah.
And then you look at Ohio State, it's like, okay, you beat Texas, very good win. You beat Michigan, very good win. So Ohio State's got two, Indiana's got one. And I was like, and then they rested their starters in the second half. So everyone's rested for this game to go and battle it out and see. So like I don't think I'm not of the Ohio State shouldn't be, playoff. Like I see the talent. I'm not ignorant enough to think that. But I am my question is like, how much have they really been tested through the season? They had that one really good win and tested. They played well, but tested. And it's kind of like Notre Dame too. It's like, except Notre Dame failed their tests. And Ohio State's at least passed the tests, that they had. So, but I think that goes to the whole Big Ten thought of like the bottom is weak, just like any league. And Ohio State, no fault of their own, kind of played everyone in the bottom and plus Michigan, basically. So again, they should definitely be in the playoff, but I'm kind of like, where in it? And they'll be one, even if they lose this, they're not going to drop out of the top four. I just can't see that
No, I
happening.
can't see that happening. Yeah.
And to the point, my doctor is an Ohio State fan. He doesn't know everything that I say behind his back about Ohio State because I'm smarter than that, at least, But he at the beginning of the year, I just go in for a checkup, and I was like, "So how do you think they're going to be?" And he's like, "I think it's going to be a down year." And I'm like, if this is your down year,
I know,
then
right?
you need to. I don't know what you need to do, but you're not thinking
Wow.
straight,
Yeah.
So,
I would love a down year like this year for Ohio State.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Camille kind of alluded to, I mean, just coming into this year, we were breaking in a new quarterback. Granted, he was a sophomore or whatnot.
Oh, sure.
But it was his first time, starting. And so there's just kind of you're bound to expect a couple losses, I would feel like, right? So I kind of had two losses forecasted in. I was on the Penn State hype train. I mean, I know a lot of people at the
I
start of the
think
year,
we all were
Everybody
too.
were.
Yeah.
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 a lot of people thought, national championship for them this year. That thing just quickly went off the rails.
Yeah.
So to get to the point about the schedule, like I'm not gonna fault Ohio State for the schedule when like they play the teams that they're on. I mean, they scheduled Texas. Texas
Yeah, they
was
did.
on number one. Now maybe that's some ESPN padding to build up that game.
Mhm.
Penn State was supposed to be huge, and then Michigan. So I mean, those are three top 10 or three top tier teams there. Wisconsin unfortunately isn't what they've been
Yeah.
in kind of
It's too
past
bad.
years.
Hmm.
And then too, nobody really gives, I think, Washington the credit, but
Yeah, I agree with that.
they were riding some insane streak of like, going back to I think like 2000 or 2001, like undefeated at home, and we went out there. And I just think like the team is so good on defense that they've made these other teams like look bad.
A- And I'm not even over here being like, if BYU gets in, I don't want them to play Ohio State. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
let's
over
be
here.
honest. Like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not over here
yeah.
like they don't, like, but uh I think it goes to the when I was saying like there's no clear cut. I mean, Ohio State could very well go through the playoff and be like, we are clear cut. I think
Yeah.
I'm just not, it's like more of a show me type of a thing. So we could end it and be like, obviously,
And
duh,
to this point, Jared felt the same way about Oklahoma, Old Miss. I mean, I think it's also just one of those like from coming as a team from behind always. I think there's one of
You don't
those
get the
things.
benefit of the doubt
No. And so I
ever.
think it goes
Yeah.
back to like we wish we had that kind of benefit of the doubt. So as we look at teams for the top, it's also like once you kind of prove it, like when we saw Oklahoma beat whoever it was, we're like, oh, I mean, it's hard to shrug that off, right? To be like, okay, fine, you get
Yeah,
you
they
get
proved
that.
it.
They proved
But
it.
they had moments. It's like, so you mentioned they played games on their schedule, which at least you're in
Yeah,
a conference. And here's my Notre Dame thing. Notre Dame plays the games on their schedule, but they make their schedule.
they
And I
create
know
it.
it's years in advance, but it's also like one of the things that needs to happen, this committee needs to leave Notre Dame out, just like force them into a conference,
Force them to
because
earn it.
the
Yeah.
fact that they're a top 10 team and sitting idle this week in conference championship week and they're going to get the benefit of the doubt is ridiculous in my mind. Like, and
Yeah.
then you get to schedule, your soft schedule over here. Granted, Stanford isn't what they used to be.
Yeah. A lot of them
USC
aren't
is
what
your
they used
best
to
win.
be.
So I saw a meme. It was funny. It's like Notre Dame's ridiculous. It's like you schedule two hard games, you lose them both, then you beat, you know, group of five level teams basically, and you sit out championship weekend, you're in. Like
It's
pretty
beautiful. I mean, whoever their
ridiculous.
marketing guy is, mwah,
Well, they
chef's
get
kiss.
that's the Notre Dame bias.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
history. It's all that. Yeah.
One thing I need to circle back to, because I know like I can just hear my friends just scream in my ear. Everyone wants to like dig at Ohio State's schedule this year, but we only have to go back a year and look at the gauntlet that Ohio State went
Yeah.
through.
Well,
They
yeah.
beat Tennessee, they beat Oregon, they beat Texas, they beat Notre Dame
Oh, in the playoff,
in the
you're
playoffs.
talking about?
That
Yeah.
You
stretch
did.
of four
Ex-
games, like I don't know that we've ever seen anybody go through a stretch of four games that tough.
Well, and severely beat Oregon, by the way. I mean, like there were
well, that was
that
you,
wasn't even a
you
game
were
after
the
like the
Rose
first
Bowl,
10 minutes. So,
basically. Yeah.
like you guys deserved it hands down. I mean, there was not honestly nobody. And that's what was kind of surprising because Michigan beat you and we're like, "Oh, they're beatable." And then we're like, "Oh gosh." Oh,
But
that was a rivalry game. We'll just set
that,
that to the side. Yeah.
and I agree. Like, but that was last year
Mhm.
too. So like that's where I think a lot of times, like if you look at last year, let's look at BYU last year too. Now they didn't go through the playoff schedule, but they were 10-2. They beat SMU and didn't get into the playoff, and SMU did after losing conference championship. So I think that's where the frustration is. Like, well, if we're gonna look back, let's look back at
Yeah.
everybody. If we're gonna look at strength of schedule, let's look at the strength of schedule of everybody. Because
Yeah.
To your point though, that's why that's not solely why, but that's one of the reasons
one of
why
the
I'm
yeah,
so high on BYU. Like I
Yeah, that's
feel
true.
like BYU has been building to this point.
Hmm.
I hope you're
Yeah.
right. Let's do
You,
it
I love that you
Saturday.
are actually a lot more confident than we are as
I
BYU.
know. Well,
We're
we've
like,
been so invested
oh,
for so many years.
it's
So,
just so painful. We've just
I
like every year I break up with them in my mind because I have to, salvage my. But I mean, and that's where a lot of teams. I mean, when you kind of ride that like 7 and 8 line every year, it's almost like ouch.
I
But
feel like the thing that BYU has going against it is like literally their whole season is riding on this one game where I feel like they should be in, but it's like, no, they have to win this
right.
game.
we had to earn it. We have to earn it
Well,
to get in.
they're
Yeah.
the only Power Four team that's 11-1 and been outside the top 10 ever.
Exactly.
Which, so again, it goes to these biases where
Mhm.
historically BYU's okay, you're a solid team, good job, guys, but they
Give
don't
us
have
even a
that
shot.
history on their side yet. Like if
Yeah.
they go in, if they bust the door down with Texas Tech and say they win one round in the playoff, that alone will change
The
people's
narrative
minds. Be like,
next year.
oh, it's kind of like
Yeah.
Utah. When
Hmm.
You-
Utah won back-to-back Pac-12 championships, they lost the Rose Bowl, but
Hmm.
people were like, oh, like Utah's
Some,
good. Utah's
some,
physical.
I'm curious, are you saying that'll change the national media perception, or are you
Yeah.
saying that'll change the
I
BYU
think no,
focus?
it'll change the like national media because I think the media is more like a prove it to me, kind of like I am with right here with like almost every team. It's like prove to me how good you are, and I think people want to see that. Okay, BYU, prove to me, and then we'll start believing me
And
in
that's
you.
probably why we're harder on other teams at the top because that's the gauntlet we're put in. And granted, we haven't been good up until a certain point. So I get it, but it's also this bias that exists where it's like all these other programs have had money in them for a while. You guys have recruited well, like, and so it's all coming to a head. But it is hard to be on the outside of literally one spot on the outside looking in, being like the only way to get there is a pretty
Is
intense win.
as an 11-1 team with better win. I should have brought the meme, but it showed Notre Dame and BYU next to head. Strength of schedule, strength of record,
Yeah.
better wins against bowl eligible teams. Like everything in a conference championship game, and
Mhm.
Notre Dame's ahead of BYU. It just doesn't make sense.
That's so interesting to me because I would feel like just from listening to you guys aren't sold on the team. So to me, that's telling me
Yeah.
like you need a playoff win to like tell your belief.
We need
Uh,
the
I
fans
feel
need some love. I
we
mean,
we need the win. So maybe to your
yes.
point earlier, the national media will believe, but we'll believe too at that
feel
point.
like the national media is going to need to see two wins out of BYU in the playoff to believe in
Yeah,
BYU.
it's
Well,
true.
but I think this conference championship is
Is
one of those. Like
okay, that's
it's the
fair.
fourth ranked team. Like, and
Mhm.
then you get another one. There's two, and then if you go deeper than that, like boy,
Then it's all like a red carpet
yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been emotionally preparing for BYU not to be in the playoff for weeks. So it's
Let me toss I don't know if grenade's the right word, but let me toss this grenade out here. Do you guys curious, do you guys feel that Texas Tech is like a number four team? Like I know they're ranked number four, but do you feel that they're number four? I don't know that I feel that they're number four.
I don't know about
I
four, but
agree with you. And
yeah.
now playoff team, yes, where
Yeah.
they are,
Well, yeah.
and this is why because when BYU played them, and we've talked about this, I think their defense it got tired. Take the last quarter away, and I wasn't super impressed with the offense to be honest. And now give BYU credit, they have a really solid defense too.
Defense, yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. I don't know that they're as super complete as maybe some other teams.
I feel like they're competitive complete, like in the sense of like they're in the realm. They could put together a complete game quicker than any other Big 12 team, I think. But I do think the eye test is giving them a lot of clout that
Well,
might not yet be
Wow.
deserved.
and
So,
that's where the eye test is like
mhm,
you look at Texas Tech strength of schedule. BYU has a better strength of schedule than Texas Tech.
mhm,
So that's where it's like the eye test is like, look how they're blowing out teams. It's like, yeah, but look at the teams they're also playing.
mhm.
And that's why I hate the eye test. It's like you can't go off that. That should be like 5% of the equation. It should not be a big percent.
I think something fun that I'd love to do with you guys, like even if it's after or whatnot, is like do a blind test. I'd
Yes.
love for you guys to give me your top 12 teams, not based on record, not based on who you've played, not based on, conference, not
Ooh,
based on
this could be
historical
fun.
preference. Just like who do you guys think is the top 12 best teams?
Well,
Because I
BYU's number one. No.
have a
No,
feeling that it's going to be closer. It's going to be, I think we're going to be closer than you would think,
I
but
agree.
I think we're going to be different than the way that the top 12 teams are currently ranked.
That's what I was actually going to say that. I was like, I don't necessarily disagree that the players who are there should be there. I disagree on the ranking most of
Yeah,
the time.
I
So,
think you
yeah,
take top 15, I bet you we all have the same
probably
top
most of them.
15.
Yeah,
It's just maybe probably 8 to 15 is like
Different.
gonna
different.
be the most different, possibly. I don't know, maybe top four too, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be like I bet you the top four would just be maybe a re-ranking or something. Like they'd
Like,
probably be
and
similar teams.
and I'll say this, like, I think most of the season, I would have probably put Ohio State 2 and Indiana 1. I don't think any undefeated team should not be in the top two if there's only two. But I also think, I mean, it goes back to like, but that's almost nebulous because it's like, well, they'll both be buys, you know what I mean? So I guess it goes back to, and I don't know how the committee is evaluating it too, because really the top four, maybe the top three, it's like, okay, that's kind of set because it's like you can't
Hmm.
really, maybe you reorder it a little bit, but I think, yeah, I think let's do it. I think we should do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love to do that. And
yeah,
if I can circle back one thing, I don't want to make
yeah.
this all about Ohio State, but I did
No.
want to ask you guys about this. There's been a lot of chatter about the Heisman, right?
Oh
Do,
yeah, yeah.
do you feel that the winner of this game is going to be the winner of the Heisman? Do you feel that the Heisman has already
Oh,
been
versus Ohio
Mm,
State and Indiana? Oh,
Well, yeah. So I was trying to remember, like, do the Heisman votes happen before championship weekend or happen
oh,
after? And I think it happens
I
after.
forget. I
I
don't
And
forget
remember.
too.
if it happens
I think it's
after,
after. Hmm.
do you feel that like the Heisman's already set and so is winning it? Or do you feel that like there's a realistic shot for whoever wins this game is going to win the Heisman? Or do you feel like it's someone who's not even in the Ohio State Indiana game?
Honestly, I haven't been following it as much, the Heisman, but
I
it's all
I
up to
think,
date.
here's what I think. I think if Ohio State loses by some crazy whatever, I think the field's wide open. But I think if Ohio State wins it, then it's a lock. That's what I think.
I feel like if Ohio State loses, it's a lock for Fernando Mendoza.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, like if Ohio State can win and the votes aren't decided, I feel like Julian Sain has a real good shot, but I don't feel that it's a lock. Like I feel like
Oh,
if
really? So you feel the opposite of
Mm.
me? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know because I'm like, I think I've been starting to hear other names creep up too. I think from what I remember last year, I think they wait until the end of the playoffs.
I
Um,
hope it's not playoffs. I hope it's I think it should be championship week because
be right.
your team's in championship, cut it off, and then you go from there. But with this game, we're still talking Ohio State, Indiana.
Sorry.
My historic
no,
no
it's
my,
fine.
no 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 my historical bias is Ohio State's going to win, but I think recalibrating, knowing hey, Indiana was good last year, they've been good this year. I'm a little more inclined. I'm not ready to pick Indiana, but I'm more like this could be a
There's a
close game.
possibility.
This isn't my thought. I read it. Someone's just like, this is the least anticipated one versus two game in history. Just like I don't feel like they're almost hyping up the SEC championship game more
Well, that,
than
Yeah, which
that's
is
twofold. Sorry, I gotta
yeah.
tackle
you have to go ahead.
well, because one, I feel like it's Indiana. If you were to swap that with Michigan or
Penn
even
State even or
Yeah,
yeah,
I
exactly, I
agree.
feel like
It's the
this would,
Cinderella team. It's yeah.
but because it's Indiana, like
Mhm.
you think of them
historical
as a
bias.
basketball school. And then the second piece that I want to get in is I love ESPN for watching college football, but oh my gosh, the
Oh,
bias with them is just
agreed.
out of control right
It's
now.
funny you say that though, 'cause I would think
Have a vested interest in the SEC, so it
that's true.
makes sense for them to just promote the SEC teams. Um, and
No,
then just
we agree 100%.
Totally.
I did,
Anytime. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
did Google because I wasn't sure, so I did Google the current 2025 Heisman Trophy odds. Fernando Mendoza is plus 160. Diego Pavia is plus 175.
Okay.
I really
Julian
want him
Saints
to
is
win.
plus 210. And then you go to Jeremiah Love plus 5,000. So it seems to be a three-horse
Three
race.
way.
I think that kind of goes to my point about even if Ohio State wins, I'm not so sure Julian Saint gets it, but I hope
He could
so.
have a, yeah, if he
Well,
has a killer game,
doesn't
maybe,
he
then
have
it's like,
more he has more runway, right? He's a junior. Is he a junior or sophomore?
Yes, Julian's. So I
So
know.
I wonder if they take that into consideration too, to some extent. I mean, this is just my personal, but I love Diego Pavia. So like for me, I'm just always like, yay, go. And what an
underdog story.
underdog story, right? That's a Rudy script right there. But deserving wise, I mean, I think that's going to be what's really hard about all of this.
The sophomore, but I don't know if that I can't remember if that's like a redshirt sophomore because I remember he transferred from Alabama. So I'm not sure if he's a
That's
true
right.
sophomore or like a third year sophomore.
Yeah,
One thing on the bias for SEC, I just want to say, I've gotten to the point where if there's Paul Feinbaum, whoever, I just don't listen
I can.
anymore. Like
Even
I
Joel
can't
Klatt,
take you,
he's
yeah,
very,
I can't take you seriously if it's just, I know who's in your pockets. I know
yeah.
who's the puppet
Who's
master,
paying you to say what you want?
and it's ridiculous.
Well,
So
and
yeah,
again,
totally
what's hard
agree.
about this is like, are they a good conference? Absolutely. I think we can all agree, but they're not unbeatable. Like you said, who's won the last 2 years? It's not been an SEC team. The fact that they're getting almost five teams in really seems
Oh man,
unreasonable to me.
it is, and
Um,
they're campaigning for like a six two or something. Like they're like
and that's
it's
the stuff where I'm just like, I can't even with that. I think they really need to start being like, they
capping
might
at
not
three or
get as much
four.
hate. Well, again, they're a huge conference, but that's on them. They did that to themselves, but also so are all these other conferences. Like Big
Mhm.
Ten's huge, and I think there's probably a lot of qualifiers too. And you like at the top, it's well, it's top heavy, I think a little bit, but it's not. one or two teams, it's got some weight there, right? So even with Big 12, which always it's weird because we've never were Big 12 people who cared, but since now that we're in it,
Now
I
we're there.
listen to
Yeah.
Drake Toll like all the time. Anyway, but I do think what's been interesting about this truck stop conference is that like there is money starting to rise these ships. So it's like I think they're trying to pay their way into respect and attention because that's what it's going to take to get any sort of notoriety to even get. I mean, and we have a selection committee for playoffs. Until we get to an actual playoff bracket committee, then it's just going to be,
Someone was calling it's more of an invitational. Like
Yeah.
they're
hey, that's a good
inviting who
idea.
they
Yeah.
want. It's
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the stats. And with the who was I saw something. You look at Tennessee's and my Mizzou Tigers, who were ranked most of the season, but you look at their schedule, it's like you lost all your tough games, and you won all your easy games. It's kind of like, why were you ranked actually?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is that bias of like,
SEC bias.
oh, SEC's got 9 ranked teams. It's like, yeah, but three of them shouldn't be ranked.
Yeah.
Like, so it is the bias. It's horrible.
And when
Yeah.
Anyway,
you literally have the network hosting the games, like it makes sense for them to want to have,
Yeah.
versus two or one versus five or,
Yeah.
two versus seven, as opposed to, oh, we got five versus 18.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like
Not that many people will tune in. Yeah.
yeah, it's in their vested interest to promote. And I'm just like, it's almost like politics, like you
It's
can't.
such politics.
Oh, it is. Although I will say the Duke versus number 18 Virginia, I might watch just out of curiosity
I'm
to see
so
what the heck's
curious.
gonna
Yeah, let's
happen
go to
with
that
that
game.
game.
That I had to just Google it to be like, how in the world would do I mean the whole domino effect of Duke winning. To be honest, I'm kind of like morbidly curious to see that happen. Um, but I feel bad for the ACC if I'm going to be honest. Like
Well,
it's
they've
just
had a
been this
rough year.
they're in a rut, but it's a toppling of like they're bottom heavy. They're not top heavy. And they can't
They're
seem to
mid
find
they're
the
mid to
mid tier.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, to give Miami a little credit, which is really unfortunate because you look at where they're ranked in their conference, and then they've got the highest ranking of, again, the eye test that comes into play and all these other things. It's starting to overrule the ranking of conferences
Right.
in general,
The
right?
actual
So,
if
yeah.
Miami should not be in, regardless. If
No,
you can't make your conference championship game,
or even come
what are
close to
you
qualifying.
doing? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know the tiebreakers ruined this all and everything, but like it's like, sorry, Miami, like you aren't in your conference championship. Like
Same as the
you're not
SEC. Sorry,
sneaking in.
you didn't get it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but like Virginia just beat Duke like 3 weeks ago, 34-17. And I know it's the second round and it could be different, but I don't hold out much hope for Duke except for just complete chaos. And
I actually
Well,
think it'll be close. So,
I agree with what Jared said that like, Miami shouldn't be there because, they didn't win their schedule. I agree with that. But I feel like Miami should be in this game
I
based
agree with that.
on
I
the
I'm
agree.
I agree with
I
that.
I agree.
Tiebreakers are, well,
us choked.
and
Yeah.
BYU got screwed over by a tiebreaker last year.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
like they didn't make it to the title game. They're Big 12. Big 12 was kind of like the ACC.
Last
Not
year.
maybe not as bad, but we were kind of like them last year with 4 teams tied at the top, and
Hmm.
BYU should have been there. Um, but yeah, Miami, I agree with you. Like Miami should be in that championship game,
Yeah.
honestly, or SMU or Pitt. But Duke, Duke is not
I
the
had to
one.
I had to be like, what is their record? And it's again not impressive. I
Their
don't know.
conference record is what got, obviously it's conference
Yeah.
that got them there. But they're who did they play in their season? They lost to Illinois, Tulane,
Lane, yeah.
Georgia Tech, UConn,
Oh gosh.
and Virginia. So bad losses, and their win that Illinois ended out, fizzling there, and um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Georgia Tech's probably their best win. Oh no, they lost to Georgia. They lost all their good games, their tough games. Sorry, and then they lost to kind of or bad games as well. So I don't know. Like if BYU and Duke win, that would be an amazing weekend. Like it would be the best.
Throw in a bunch of coach changes too, then that would just be
Oh
like
man,
Just
Well,
grab
and
the
that's the
popcorn.
wild card in all of this. I mean, I know, Josh, you talked about Ohio State and coaches, but like, how many teams are shuffling that? Like BYU almost got derailed, and I wonder if it did derail those first two practices, like
Yeah.
days of practice, and then it's like, oh, we're here. Hopefully, it's a rally cry, but
Yeah. You
it's a
never know.
distraction. Kalani even admitted he's like, we're trying to stay focused, and then after the deal was done, he's just like,
I'm so sorry.
it was a distraction,
Yeah.
and we needed to get through it. I'm like,
Well,
good
and the
job.
Lane Kiffin thing with the Old Miss and they went
Oh,
up a spot, that bothers
they
me.
should have
No.
dropped. I'm not saying out. They should have dropped because I've heard people say if Kalani left, they would have for sure been out of the
Oh,
playoff. And I was like, well, apply
100%.
that to the SEC over there, you know?
We don't have to go too far back. Wasn't it who was it? Was it Florida State the one year? And this might have even been
Yes.
The
like the
quarterback.
BCS
Yeah, the
maybe. Yeah,
quarterback got injured,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like they got penalized.
ousted. Hmm.
Um, just real quick tidbit, because I'm surprised how many people don't know this. Do you know that Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss, going to LSU, he's not going to coach Ole Miss, but did you guys know that he weaseled his way into if Ole Miss wins their bowl game, or their playoff game, he's going to get his bonus
Payout?
payout.
Oh,
No
Bonus
way.
payout is coming from LSU.
What?
what?
Yes.
That's brilliant. I mean, hands off to
Wow.
him. I mean, that's amazing.
His his agent really, yeah, definitely.
Isn't that
Oh,
wild?
That is wild. But he also gave an ultimatum to
yeah.
like his coaches. He's like, you come with me or not. Lane Kiffin, man,
Ha-
everywhere he goes, he leaves in just this flame of just everything's on fire.
and they can't even be like, I guess, I mean, is he a good coach? Probably. He's part of the Nick Saban tree, whatever. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know what, I don't see a ton of dollar signs that follow him. No national championship yet, nothing. You know what I mean? So it's like he
Yeah,
kind of keeps skipping
he doesn't
around,
stick. He
following the
doesn't stick
money.
around. Doesn't stick around
No.
long enough
And
to.
so I don't know. Anyway, we could
Anyway,
go on
all
with
right.
that.
What game are we on? So
Okay, so
Duke,
we're on
Virginia.
North Texas and Tulane. Yeah, I think it's Virginia. I
I
mean,
think it's Virginia,
I
but
think I'd
hey,
like to see Duke win just for
yeah,
fun, but
pull for some chaos there. North Texas, Tulane. Jake Retzloff.
hey,
He
yeah,
could
our
get into
former
the
BYU
playoff
quarterback.
if he wins.
If he wins and BYU doesn't get in, I'm just like, all
That'd
right.
be crazy. But I
So
was looking at this game before, and I think it's North Texas. I was looking at kind of
Yeah, I think so.
comparisons. I think North Texas pulls it off.
What do you think, Jake? Or Jake, Josh?
so if I had to make a pick, I think I'd pick North Texas.
Yeah.
I don't feel, strongly confident about it. Something that I thought was very interesting is if you look at Tulane, their quarterback is also their leading rusher this year.
Oh,
Um,
interesting, really?
yeah, at some point you have to be able to run the ball, I would think. And then if you look at North Texas there, I think it's pronounced Messmaker. He's thrown for like almost 4,000 yards this season.
Yeah,
So they can definitely sling it
like
around. So
I
I don't know. If I have to make a pick, I think, North Texas.
Yeah, looks like a
I
safe one.
think whatever group of five team gets into the playoff is going to get slaughtered. Uh, now, I love Cinderella stories, but like it,
Right.
at least Boise State was like, hey, yeah,
They
your
had
schedule's
Ashton
weak, but
Gentry. They
like
were legit. I
you're
mean,
good.
yeah,
But there really hasn't been a group of five. It's changed. It was
yeah.
Memphis at one point. It was Tulane again.
South
No,
Florida, it
James
was,
Madison. Or
yeah.
so I hope maybe North Texas gets in there and they win around, and it's just like this is the best story. And I'd be happy to see it unless it's against BYU if they get in.
Or yeah,
But
Ohio State for your sake. Anyway.
well, they
Well,
wouldn't play
you'll
Ohio
get the
State in the
bye.
first
Yeah, you'll
round.
get the
Yeah.
bye. Never mind. Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
but yeah, North Texas.
So
Let's do it.
Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State. A bunch of games. Again, this is all the conference championships. So a bunch of conferences. I don't have a
They
ton.
played. I think these guys played like 2, 3 weeks ago.
They
They've been
did.
on, yeah, they've been on Pick'em like for almost 3 weeks straight.
Yeah,
So
and I
You know
picked
who won that
Kennesaw,
game?
yeah.
and they lost.
Jared, do you know who won that game to
Kennesaw. Oh, sorry, Jacksonville State
Jacksonville.
won,
Yeah.
and then Jacksonville's. I picked them again the next
And
week,
then
and
they
they
lost.
lost. And then I picked them last week, and they won.
Yeah.
So I don't
The opposite of
like.
what Jared picks. So do you want to just
Yeah.
announce what you're doing and then I'll just do the opposite of that?
I was gonna go Jacksonville
Okay.
because
Then I'm gonna go
why
Kennesaw.
not?
Yeah.
But again,
So
here's one of those, they're playing the same team twice in a season
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
they're playing again. Jacksonville State won the first time. Jacksonville State needed a Hail Mary right before halftime for that victory. And they also had, I think, 4 defensive interceptions, I heard.
Oh,
Wow.
They
ouch.
got a lot of
All
points.
right. So
Um, and
maybe
also,
Maybe they got
Kennesaw
it.
can clean it up.
well, one interesting factor too is apparently Jacksonville State has the leading FBS rusher, Cam
Really?
Cook. Did not know that. Yeah, he's apparently leading FBS in all of rushing.
Almost 1,600 yards.
So
Wow.
I wanted to go with Kennesaw State, but I think I'm going to stick with Jacksonville State based on that. But
Yeah.
my real answer is whoever has the better band, that's who I think you pick.
That's,
Our sister-in-laws,
that's
it's the better mascot or colors. Yeah, so
yep.
that's
And she's won the league twice.
yeah.
So, and when you
Oh,
say when she
Yeah,
says sister-in-law, that's my wife.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so the Owls versus Gamecocks. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. I don't know.
2 words.
Gamecocks probably, maybe. I don't know.
They're
Okay,
scrappy.
let's talk Georgia, Alabama here for a second. Now, this is one that on both sides it's different. So this game could go either way. I actually do think that that's probably accurate to what we're going to see. I do think from what I've been hearing, everyone's like Georgia by yeah, Georgia like confidently. And I was like, I don't know though. I mean, I do think Georgia's been a solid team, but there's also some weaknesses that we've been exposed to. Watching them play Georgia Tech last week, I'm like, okay, granted, it was a rivalry game, but that wasn't a blowout like it should have been to the extent that if they're that good, right? So I don't know.
Well, they're not. This kind of goes to the whole. They're not far and away. Like it's not like the Georgia
It's not
of
a
even
huge
just a couple
breakout.
of years ago, where
Yeah,
it's just like it's Georgia by a mile.
yeah.
Like
Like we don't need
everyone,
to play it off. It's
everyone's fallible. Um,
right,
I do think Alabama's schedule. I don't have the metrics, but just looking at it, Alabama's schedule seems
harder,
tougher.
harder.
But Georgia's definitely had their own little run
I mean, they
here.
haven't gone without. They've played some hard teams too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Who'd they
But
lose to, by the way? They lost to Alabama.
Alabama beats Eastern Illinois 56-0. So
I know.
I don't know.
Well,
Uh,
and again, this is another one of rematch. I mean, how many rematches do we got here? I think that'll be an interesting stat to keep track of as we go back to
yeah,
next week. But Alabama won the last game, so
by
I don't know.
3. So
What do you
yeah.
think, Josh?
so I don't want to embarrass anybody here, so I'm not going to ask you to name the name unless you want to go for both. But I do want to ask you guys, how many yards do you think the leading Alabama rusher has this season?
I mean, you'd go with 1,000 or more, but I just looked at it too, and I'm kind of like, oh,
2,300?
that's
Just kidding. I don't know.
So it sounds like Jared kind of has the spoiler alert there. I would have thought for sure Alabama has 1,000 yard rusher.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you think of Alabama, you think of, Chris Henry, you think of, the big bruiser backs that they've all had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, their leading rusher this year has 493 yards.
What? Oh, that went the other way. I thought you were going to be like, he has
Yeah, it's the other
5,000
way.
yards. Anyway,
That
yeah,
that's not,
that's not great.
and then when you look at, the passing yards, so you're thinking, okay, well, maybe like this is a different Alabama and they're not running and they're slinging the ball around a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, Ty Simpson has 3,000 yards, which is on the higher end, but that's nothing like crazy.
Mm-mm.
So I don't know. I feel like, and I said this earlier, I feel like Georgia and Alabama are both not what they were, but
Yeah, I
I do
agree.
like Georgia in this one. I do think that Georgia is the better team. I know Alabama beat them the first time around. I still thought that Georgia was going to win that time. I still think they're going to win again.
Let me ask
And
you
it's in
this, Josh.
Atlanta, right? I think they play in
Yeah, it's
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Josh,
Yeah.
who would you rather play
Hmm.
as an Ohio State fan?
That's,
Meaning
that's a
they
great
probably
question.
are easier to beat.
That's a great question because, to be honest, I didn't want Alabama anywhere near the playoff picture because, again, it's like ghosts of past, right? It's
Right.
Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because I do think Georgia's the better team, I think I would rather play Alabama. It's always fun beating Alabama too when they do.
Mm,
Was it Zeke Elliott, 85 yards through the
yeah.
heart of the
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I can't
Um,
wait for the day that BYU has a story to tell about beating Alabama. Not anytime soon. But anyway, keep going.
Oh yeah, that'd be my quick and dirty answer there. But if I'm being honest, I don't really want part of either of them because I do. Yeah, it's the ghosts of past. I just
Yeah.
feel like,
SEC, yeah. It's yeah. It'd always be nice to be paired with the group of five coming in, or I mean, Big 12, I mean, ACC,
ACC this year.
ACC. I know.
Probably it's Group of Five, ACC, Big 12, or and
We'll have to do a special
go from there.
edition if BYU gets in and we actually play Ohio State, because that will be a fun one. All
That
right,
would be fun.
go ahead.
Is that it? Oh,
just real quickly, like I feel like this year's bracket is shaping up to be last year's, where like
Oh yeah,
last number one seed really had the hardest road, and I feel the same way again. Like if you guys look at
yeah, it's rough. That's
if
why
you
I was
look
like, be number two. Yeah.
we got Alabama right now or Oklahoma. That's the current seeding, 8-9 right there. Um, and you look at Old Miss or the Conference Four champ right now, they would go against number three Georgia. So I still feel like there's some tweaking that the committee has to do
mm,
with the
Agreed.
playoff structure. I, I never really wanted to go to a playoff. I was a big believer in the BCS. I will say that the four-team playoff, I think that was the sweet spot.
Hmm.
Um,
Do you think it could have been the four-team power conferences?
well, so that's where I think, okay, I'll accept the argument for eight. Uh,
Okay,
mm,
okay.
Now where we're at with like 12, it's ridiculous, I feel like.
Well, if we're at 12, we might as well be at 15 or 24 or whatever it is, right? So,
as
yeah,
well.
whatever.
It's just it takes away from what was arguably like the most intense, most meaningful regular season. Like college week to week college football, rode or die on, the week to week schedules. I feel like we've lost a little bit of that now, a little of that luster. Um, you know, I will say though, as an Ohio State fan, like there was a lot of years in the BCS where it's like, oh God, we lost one game and now we're out. So it is kind of nice to like have a little bit of padding there. But I don't know. I feel like they got to tweak the system still.
They do.
Oh
They have a lot of work to do. Yeah.
yeah, I think caps, minimums, you hear, and that's been floated around. I think a seating, um, more transparency. Like
Yeah. Give us
none
a
of this.
rubric of what to do
You
to get in. Like then we
you
can,
can never say eye test. Eye test is not a metric
that's
because
subjective.
it's
Yeah.
too subjective. It has to be, give me a reason why, give me a number why.
Yeah.
Like anyway,
More transparency is exactly what you said, and and,
Yeah.
and that's we need that in everything. Our jobs, our
Yeah.
oh
politics,
yeah.
Everything.
transparency everywhere.
How
But
can I
like
get an A? That's what I want
it,
to know. Yeah.
it's like if you want good preseason games and you value
That's the way
strength
to
of
do it.
schedule,
Yeah.
then do it. But like, I mean, Texas has been threatening, fine, we're not going to play, Ohio State's again. It's like, I get what they're saying, but that's a
But that
byproduct
but
of the
that
college football
game,
playoff committee.
but that game wasn't the reason they're not making the
No, no, no.
playoffs,
I
Caleb.
know,
Yeah.
but like,
Okay. Just
obviously,
want to make
but
that clear.
also, I
Mhm.
think, I don't know how long ago that game was scheduled, but
Right. Yeah.
like, I'm sure it's like, give us like this year, we're looking at, or not even this year. It needs to be like we're looking at these metrics, and
Yeah.
this is what we're going on. Like the basketball tournament has actually gotten it. Granted, that's 64 teams, but
Mm.
now they're really like, okay, what's your quad one wins? Like there's a lot more definition, and then the judgment comes kind of more on the fringe. But you're gonna get the top 55 teams,
Mhm.
in there. But
Yeah.
anyway,
It'll be an interesting. Well, this was certainly the longest that we've ever recorded,
the
but
record.
really good stuff, guys. So the only thing that we haven't done, and we're going to do a quick pick on this, Miami, Ohio versus Western Michigan.
Oh, Kalamazoo. Is that
Yes.
where Western Michigan is? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, yep.
That's where my company's based. That's the only reason I know that.
It looks like it's a toss-up on both strategies at this
I'll
point.
go with Western Michigan because I've been to Kalamazoo once, so
Hey,
that's it.
you might not choose it because of Michigan, right then? I don't know. Josh.
I'm gonna go with Miami, Ohio, Ohio against Michigan here. Um, Western Michigan again, another program where their leading rusher is their quarterback. Brock Lowry has only thrown for about 1,500 yards, and he's ran
Wow.
900 yards. Um,
Oof.
with the QBR too for both teams, could be an exciting one in terms of maybe some turnovers to watch out there, not high QBRs. But yeah, gonna go with the Red Hawks.
There you go.
Game
I
of the week.
God.
What's the game of the
Oh,
week
game of the
for
week.
everyone? I gotta go BYU Texas Tech.
Right.
Like you win, you're in.
Okay, outside of your bias, how about that?
Okay.
So there's our bias,
Outside of my
obviously.
bias.
Outside of your bias. I actually think it's Indiana, Ohio State. That's what I think is
I'll
outside
go
of
with
my bias.
that. If I take my historical bias out of it, I'm interested that my curiosity game of the week is Duke, Virginia. What the
Yes.
heck's gonna go on with
Yeah.
that one?
But I
How
also
about
think
you?
that'll be a first quarter game to be like, I'll know enough about if I want to watch it,
Yeah.
after a first quarter. Anyway.
Upset of the week. Anyone gonna
Oh
call
wait,
Duke?
Josh's game of the week.
Oh
Josh's game.
yeah, sorry.
I might surprise you here, but it's definitely Georgia, Alabama for me. I think that
Yeah.
one will be the
Yeah.
most
Good one.
fireworks or certainly the biggest party. Um, again, the Ohio State one, I just
Yeah.
I hope we can get through it.
Yeah. Well,
See
we'll
you.
all send each other like, some DoorDash if we lose, I guess. It's okay, yeah, so
Awesome.
upset of the week. Who do you think the upset choose one upset game?
Right now is Ohio State the underdog? Did
I
I
think
see that right?
No, on one side of so it's not on the
Okay,
spread, but it's on the matchup.
gotcha.
and
Um,
Hmm.
sorry again, not to make it all about Ohio State, but going back to the comment about like everyone thinking, oh, Indiana, Indiana. I wonder if there's a little bit of like sharp bets, there to make if you're not an Ohio State person,
yeah,
because
I agree.
I can totally see the country being like Indiana, like of course Ohio State.
Right.
So if you're not sold on Ohio State, I wonder if there's some sharp money for you to make there.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
But the upset, you know
I'm gonna
what?
s-
Do
Go
it.
ahead.
I'm gonna say BYU.
all
I'm going
right.
Yay!
to BYU friends here.
Yay! Yeah.
Um, I've been on them all year.
Let's
Let's
ride
bring
it.
them.
Let's go.
There we go. We'll see if you're the magic touch or
Yeah,
the
that we
curse.
needed to. Yeah, I'd say outside of that one, I want to see Duke win. So that's my
If
secondary
if
upset
BYU
of the
win,
week.
well, hold on. Does Duke play Saturday? A couple of these games are on Friday. I
Saturday.
know
No, I didn't check.
they're Saturday. Okay. If BYU wins early, I want Duke to win so bad, like just to like
Yeah,
throw like conniption
they,
fits of Miami, Notre Dame, like it would
it's
be the best. So
it'll just be cinema, I guess, to
it
use a
would,
word from
it
the
would.
Alpha generation. But yeah,
I think Mensa, their quarterback's solid too. So I believe it or not, I think Duke's got a decent shot.
I
I'm
do
I
not,
too.
I'm not
I
gonna
do too.
call a win for them, but I think it's closer than the experts think.
I agree.
I, I agree with you. They have definitely been a second half, not second half game, second half of the season
When
team
can you
here.
imagine being a team that even if you win this game, you know you're not getting in, but man, you could destroy your entire conference.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know, there's something to be said for
there's a
like that's
chance.
kind
Yeah.
of a cool place to be, but also kind of a terrible place to be at the same time. So, like, I could see them running away with this. I don't know, but yeah, well, this has been a lot of fun. Josh, we'll have to have you on
All right.
again. And
This has been such an honor. Camille, you and we've been talking about this all season.
yes.
Moment to finally come to fruition. Jared, I want to thank you for being patient with me and allowing me to come to your podcast. It's been a true honor and blessing, and I'd love to come back again if you guys
I
would have
love
me.
it. We love it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, man.
I told Josh that the reason I have him on secretly is for that Jared to know that there are some nice Ohio State fans
I
out
know
there. So,
she's been saying that for years, actually. And I was like,
yeah,
but not the ones I've met, which has been like a total of three. So it's not like it's a small sample size,
yeah.
what I'm going off
I'll
of.
wear red for you, but not for Utah. How about that?
There you go. Yes. It's a different
Anyway,
tone.
Hopefully
different.
I've gone a bit to assuage our fears of Ohio State people or Ohio people. Hopefully we're swaying you. And
I don't think it's Ohio as a whole. It's, it's anyway, it's all good.
Well, Thanks, guys. All right.
Yeah,
Yep.
We'll
so
See
much,
ya.
guys.
see ya.
Have a great
Thanks.
one.
Bye.